Won't They? A podcast for the hopeless
and the romantics.
I'm Danielle.
And I'm Katie.
And welcome back. This is our first new episode since releasing all of our previous episodes.
Woo.
And we are so grateful for everyone who has listened so far and, you know, has followed us on Instagram. It's honestly the platform we're most active on. Like, we have accounts on the other platforms, but Instagram is like the number one.
Yeah.
If you want to follow us there, it's Will They Won't They Pod.
Yes. I feel like also we're like still trying to get up on Apple and stuff, so bear with us.
Yeah.
We're only on like Spotify and YouTube.
We're on Spotify, YouTube, and
Amazon
and Google. Yeah. We're really just waiting for Apple, but you know.
Who knows what's going on with that?
It's a process, babes. And just wanted to say thank you to everybody. You guys are so sweet.
Honestly, it's like totally warmed my heart. Like, making this podcast was just something that we were like, we're unemployed. And like, we talk shit constantly. Like, let's record it.
We cry about movies all the time.
Because we're slightly narcissistic and think people will want to hear us. And so to know that that's true and that our narcissism is valid is very comforting. So thank you to everyone who has like just even sent messages or shouted us out. Like, it means so much.
The world.
Yeah. And it's been such a fun experience to share it. Like, you know, just to see what people would think. So yeah.
Yeah. And to hear from you guys, like, how much fun you have listening to it and how it feels like you're just in the room with us having a chit chat with your girls. Your girls. You're one of them. Regardless of gender.
Yes.
You're one of us, babes.
Yes.
One of us, babes. You're one of the babes.
So today we decided to do one of the most iconic, wonderful, beautiful, fun movies of all time, which was requested by the one and only Nardi.
Yes. Yeah, thank you guys to everyone who put in suggestions. We will be doing that again because we love to hear your suggestions. Yes, it's really and everyone fun. That commented, we're going to end up doing those movies anyway.
Yes.
But the movie we chose, 10 Things I Hate About You.
10 things. Yeah.
10 things. Thank you so much, Nardice, for commenting.
And for listening.
And for listening.
Cute little supporter.
Love you. And we love this movie. So we've been thinking about putting it off, but we feel like it's best to just rip the Band-Aid off because it makes us emotional.
I have a lot of emotions about this movie, and I kept it was like it's actually the first movie on our list. You know that? Like, we made a big list of movies, and it's the first one that I wrote down.
A little behind the scenes tip.
And I was like, every time I would be like, we could do 10 things I can't do it.
I'm not mentally in the place.
And I don't know, it just felt right this week. It makes me very emotional, but in a good way. I mean, it's like, it's a rom-com.
It's a rom-com. I feel like everyone has one rom-com or romantic movie that they watch when they're feeling really sad and lonely, just to feel even sadder and lonelier. Like,
just to really dig it in.
Yeah, because sometimes you just want to feel it.
The pain.
It's and weird. It's good to feel it, though.
Is it? Or is it just because we have Pisces placements?
My Pisces moon is like, it's good to feel really sad.
It's so good to just like
twist the knife
in deeper. I think that's our Pisces.
It's like when I get drunk, and I know you have this too. I watch Pride and Prejudice, and the 2005 Keira Knightley version, of course. But I just really twist the knife and
hand. Okay, sorry.
The hand flex most ardently.
When we do that movie, it's gonna be.
Yeah, good luck, guys, listening to that one because that's gonna blow your speakers out. I'm gonna be screaming.
But yeah, for me, 10 Things I Hate About You has a little bit of that because it just I wanted that like dynamic so much, and I like didn't really have like high school relationships, and so when I would watch it like in college, I would just be like, I'm never gonna have this, and I'm too old to have it now.
I know, it's so weird to think about. It's like when we were talking about there's another movie we talked about where I was like, they're high school sweethearts and it's so cute and it's crazy. It was like the part that fucked me up. I can't remember what movie it was, but yeah, this movie's incredible. R.I.P. Heath Ledger. We're obsessed. Got to get that out of the way.
Okay.
From the top. Make it drop.
That's some
No.
No.
As we're memorializing Heath Ledger.
I know.
I'm
you
sorry,
know what?
sorry, bud.
No.
Sorry.
Honestly, Heath was and will always be one of my favorite actors, and I think probably the person I've ever been most attracted to in the history of time and space. Like, Heath Ledger is, to me, a pure god, and like, just looking at him is like, it does something to my body.
He's got a really great bone structure.
He's just beautiful, and like, I don't know.
You know what's crazy?
Also, he's an Aries sun with a Pisces Venus, like me too.
Oh, sweet.
So I have also like when I learned that, I was like, no.
You know what? Rewatching this movie, it was the first time I'd watched it in a while, and I realized I'm a lot more attracted to Julia Stiles than I had thought I was. Yeah, it might just be her character in this movie too. I love a mean bitch in the most complimenting way possible. But yeah.
You felt it.
I felt it a lot.
But yeah, for me, so Heath in this movie, like Patrick Verona, like the character, it's just like, he, to me, is perfect. So, you know, there's a lot of screaming, screeching, punching that
Crying.
I'm doing. Tearing up. There's a lot of that happening. But it was worth it. And I
mean, I was right there next to you. We both were getting teary-eyed at a couple points. Rom-coms.
I'm 30. Like, I should not be crying.
You're not 30.
Oh, I'm almost 30.
Almost,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, why
Who says you can't cry at this?
I know, but I've watched this movie for like 20 years.
And what? Feel your feelings, babe.
I'm just saying, I wish that I wasn't still emotional over a movie I've watched 80 billion times, but
I feel that. But
it is the way of the world.
It's literally like, I swear there's a team of scientists that got together in like the 60s and were like, how can we make movies that make girls cry forever? Or people cry forever?
The thing with this movie, too, is it's like, he's so unrealistically perfect. Ugh. Like, he's bad. He's like a little bit.
He's got
bad.
the bad boy reputation without being the bad boy.
He has like the Uncle Jesse vibe, where it's like he's a bad boy, but then he like loves taking care of his.
Such a softie.
He's such a softie. He's like just wants to take care of his nieces. Like, to me, that's like, I mean, and obviously I can't speak for everyone, but I think that's a trope that like a lot of women are attracted to, because it's like you have the image of the bad boy and like a taste of the bad boy, but underneath
without
is like,
them treating you like shit.
Exactly. Yeah. Underneath is like this sweet, soft, like caring person, and I feel like that's what they did with Patrick, and also just the way they wrote his character, the wit, the sarcasm, the humor, the little damaged dynamic that they had was just like,
it's also like
so fun.
It's got the like what appeals to a lot of people that have grown up just in the 90s, like, I want to fix this person, but then you don't have to actually go through the work of fixing them and going through all that trauma too, because he seems like he needs to be fixed, but when you get to know him, it's like, he's just great.
Yeah, he's great.
And I will try to fix you, BB.
I don't know what song that is.
Fix You by Coldplay?
That was Fix You by Coldplay, Danielle?
I have perfect pitch. So it absolutely was Fix You by Coldplay. That's real guy.
That's not at all what he sounds like.
You heard. Okay,
we're gonna get copy stroked.
Stroked. That sounds inappropriate.
Oh no. Okay,
let's get to it, bye.
Let's get into it. 10 Things I Hate About You came out in 1999.
And tonight we're gonna party.
Just so you know,
like it's 1999.
Okay.
Sorry.
Just in case you haven't seen this movie, there's a lot of ska.
Oh my god.
Pre-warning, there's a lot of ska.
Like, under every scene of dialogue.
Ska.
They don't go, like, in the first half of the movie, ska. I don't think there's a single scene of dialogue where there isn't, like, ska. But underneath the dialogue, even when they're talking about, like, their mother leaving them, it's like...
Sure. Yeah, a lot of ska, so just mentally prepare yourself for that.
Yeah.
But it starts off with ska, and
the soundtrack is great though. Like,
it is
minus
great.
all the ska interludes.
It is a really good. Thank God that's one of the soundtracks.
No, they're not like actual songs. It's like they just brought in like three stoners and we're like, can you play 4 chords on a guitar
for this
and hit the hi-hat?
Yeah.
Like, that's all you need.
But yeah, so it starts off with like this, these cool girls driving down the road, and it kind of like zooms on them, and they're listening, and it's like Bare Naked Ladies or something.
I think so. I want to say 1 Week, but I don't think it's that song. But
I think
it's always an
I think it is.
Brand.
It's
that sounded just like him. You can't say
Brand.
it didn't.
Yeah, that didn't. I knew what you were doing.
And you knew Fix You.
But yeah, it's
it's been
it's been it's been okay.
1 week since you looked at me. Sorry,
Yeah.
we have to move on. I'll get stuck. It's a loop. Anyway.
Stop. Okay, so there's some ska happening, and then all of a sudden Kat pulls up. Julia Stiles.
Kitty Cat
pulls up in her old beat up cool car.
And it's still so cool.
Bad Reputation's playing. And it's like, what a way to set the scene. We know what we're getting ourselves into.
We don't need the voiceover.
She's not a cool girl. I know. Yeah. We don't need it.
We didn't get the rom-com voiceover.
She's not a cool girl. She is a bad girl. Yeah. And so that happens, and you kind of get an idea of what you're getting yourself into, which I like.
And she like side eyes the girls.
Yeah, she's like, which
it's
we have our
here's
feelings
the
about
thing.
that.
Yeah, it's 1999. Being a pick-me girl was very big. Like, you're not like other girls, but not only did she hate women, but she hated men too.
Yeah, she wasn't a pick-me. She was just like a.
She was like a antisocial.
Just a hater. But you know what?
It came from an intellectual place.
I really related to that because, like, by the time I was a senior in high school, I, too, thought I was better than everyone in my hometown.
Yeah, you get that way when you're, like, 17 and 18.
And you're ready to go.
And then when you get to college, you get humbled real quick.
So true. Like, I'm sure once she got to Sarah Lawrence, it was like... I mean...
It was like, you're not the smartest in the room. You're not the only... wafy white girl taking a gender studies class.
Yeah, exactly. Like... You're not the only one who's read Sylvia Plath. But
also, she had a hardback cover of Sylvia Plath. I don't even know that they make those.
I know.
But anyway, go on.
But yeah, so you get to see that obviously she's very opinionated and strong-willed.
Yes.
And going against the grain, she's over it. She hates like peons and people who like fit the mold of life, and she just wants to get away from everybody. It's so relatable. Like, that age is so hard because you're like almost allowed to be yourself and be an adult, but you're like still kind of under the thumb of your parents or like whoever's taking care of you.
It's like you can taste the freedom, but you're not quite there yet.
Yeah. Totally.
And then if you had to go to community college, you still didn't quite get it. Still living at home.
Yeah, right?
I didn't go to community college. I did. There's no shame in it. But anyway.
No. It's all good.
It's all good.
But yeah, so Kat is like, wait, I'm trying to think of what happens at the very beginning. I'm like blanking on it. Oh, it's a school day.
Oh, yeah. And we meet JGL.
Yes, we meet baby JGL.
Little baby Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Definitely a Pisces in this movie, 1000%. Try to clock me on it. You can't.
In the principal's office with Alice and Janney. I said while we were watching this, I was like, the first time I watched this, I always thought I was like more of a cat. But now that I'm getting older, I realize maybe I'm more of an Alice and Janney character reading smut while I'm at work.
Writing smut.
I mean, I'm reading it. I'm no writer, but
she's literally writing like
fan fiction.
Like, yeah, or like romance.
Yeah.
Novel.
I mean, we love a passionate queen, and Alice and Janney is.
I feel like Alice and Janney, if you're listening, I just want you to know that you have been underrated and underappreciated in the comedy world and just as an actress in general. And this reminds me of Judy Greer too, where it's like people underappreciate and undervalue how important those like big side characters roles are.
Yeah,
and like how much of an effect they have on like the overall movie. So, Allison Janney, we love you.
We are stans.
You're a star to us.
Yeah. You're the only reason I watched that mom show at 3 in the morning on Nickelodeon.
Yeah, she's got that mom show. She did get recognition for that.
Yeah, she was so good in it.
But
she was literally the only good thing about that show.
Yeah, I'm sure it was deserved because she's amazing.
Yep.
I always think about her in Juno, too.
Oh, I love her in Juno. Forgot she's in Juno. Yeah. We have to do Juno. That's on the docket.
I know. I watched that movie like so much when it first came out.
So good.
But yeah, so we love Allison Janney. So yeah, so JGL's at the new school. What's his name? Cameron. His name's Cameron in the movie.
I wrote it all down in advance, even before we started the movie.
That's good.
Yeah.
So it starts off with Cameron seeing Bianca, which is Kat's little sister. And Bianca is very much kind of like the poster child of like, she's beauty, she's grace, she's Miss United States.
Yes.
You know, she's pretty.
She's so cute.
She's virginal. She's, you know, wearing pink
Pure.
and white. And she's very daddy's little girl energy. And immediately Cameron sees her and is like...
projecting.
She's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is always such an interesting thing because it's like... does that have anything to do with anything other than the way she looks? Or
no, you haven't said 2 words to her.
But the funny thing is, like, he's a quote-unquote nice guy. And, like, sure, he is. He's sweet. We love his character. But, like, it is an interesting thing.
He does a good job at playing those roles. It's the same in 500 Days of Summer, which we will also get to. And I will have a thesis about why Tom is the villain of that story. But, yeah, when he's talking to his friend, whose name I can't remember, Benny... Is it Benny and the Jets?
Benny and the Jets.
His friend is showing him around school because he's like...
Well, he like meets him. Yeah, he's like... I don't know if he's like the student... like...
Michael. Nowhere near Benny.
Michael.
I don't
think they ever say his name. Maybe at the very first second.
Who is played by David Krumholtz, who we talked about having a crush on from...
Listen, if you are sitting here listening to this podcast right now, and you're going to try to front and say that you did not have a crush on fucking Bernard from the Santa Claus, you're lying. You are lying.
With his weird hair.
And you need to take a look at yourself.
No, he was
hot.
He was
like a bad elf. You know what I mean? He had like this kind of badass.
He had the bad boy energy.
Yeah, and his like accent was cool.
Yeah.
He kind of had that like New York Jew thing going. It was great. I was obsessed. Yeah. But I remember being like, I don't think I should ever tell anyone about that.
I don't think it's appropriate for me to talk about this.
This elf crush on Bernard.
But so he's talking to Michael Cameron's talking to Michael about his crush on Bianca, and Michael's like, forget about it, like, you know, everyone knows she's got like this crazy uptight dad who won't let her do anything unless her sister does something, and Kat has quite the reputation at the school.
She is very much known as
the shrew,
a heinous bitch. That's what the principal says.
Yeah.
And she loves it.
Yeah.
She's happy to be known that way.
She's thriving. So, you know, we're introduced to all the different factions of the school. Like, it reminds me very much of, like, Mean Girls when they're like, that's the plastics, this, that, the other thing. It's not as obviously, like, ingrained in the storyline, but it reminded me of that.
I feel like it's so funny because when I talk to older folks who maybe, like, went to school in the 90s, high school in the 90s, they very much confirmed that it was a thing, like the grouping of like jock, theater kid, whatever, and they were kind of like separated. When I was in school, there was definitely people who played sports and people who did theater, but it didn't have the same sort of like nasty, like,
like, don't talk to me,
don't talk to each other connotation. But it seems like maybe in the 90s that was more of a thing. I mean, that's only from the people that I've talked to, but...
Yeah. I mean, high school's a weird time for everybody. I was in band and theater, and somehow I wasn't, you know, ostracized. I was both of those geeks.
That's so
but
funny. What happens next?
Then Michael tells Cameron she's looking for a French tutor.
Oh, yes. Bianca's looking for a French tutor.
So Cameron's like, I know French. Or, like, Michael's like, do you know French? And he's like, I could learn.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to learn French.
Yeah.
Which is cute.
Yeah, it's very cute. So he decides to start tutoring Bianca in French. and grows to discover that he does really like her. We do have this iconic scene, though, with Kat in school. It's like the first scene we see of her and her teacher. And it's like, it's aged perfectly, like a fine wine.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like Kat complaining about the patriarchal values of, like, the education system, which, like, valid, but her teacher is a black man. And he's like, listen, when the school can buy a book written by a black man, then maybe I'll listen to your middle-class white complaints.
Yeah, he was like, I don't know what you white girls complain about, like
lunch meats or something.
Lunch meats or something, but, like, yeah. It's really funny. It definitely
It's a very
aged well.
iconic scene.
It aged well.
And then anytime, Johnny Donner, Jason Donner.
Joey
Donner. Fuck Joey.
Eat me Donner. That's...
Fuck Joey.
Fuck Joey.
We have him
that
also.
Feels good. Fuck Joey. Fuck Joey.
Fuck Joey.
And I'm talking about Joey Donner, baby. Fuck Joey Donner. Mm-hmm. Fuck Joey.
Fuck Joey.
Ooh. Cathartic.
We see that while Cameron is lusting over Bianca, as is Joey Donner. He like literally says at the top of the movie, "Virgin alert."
Virgin alert. First of all, disgusting.
Yeah. And he decides to like set his sights on her, like
basically just to take her virginity. That's like the point of his relationship with her. Disgusting.
He's like the popular guy.
He's
I guess
an actor.
Conventionally attractive, does modeling.
I guess that's so true. Like,
not
he's
my type.
Not I mean, not my type either.
100% my type on paper.
Yeah, he's just not it. So, but he is it technically in school.
Yeah.
And yeah, so he decides he's gonna like try to go out with her. And
while Cameron is also trying to pursue her.
Go out with her. Which I was saying before when we were watching it, it's funny because this movie like almost, it's like trying to call out the misogyny of like Joey, and like that behavior, but it's also still so much about like putting women on pedestals and like having them represent this archetype of how a woman is supposed to be. There's like the virgin and like the bitch, you know what I mean? So it's funny.
Those are the only two spectrums for women. Yeah.
It's so like, it's so like 1999. You know what I mean? It's like they're trying, they're exploring what it could be like to like show how men can be awful while still having men basically be awful. Yeah. Because
you're only either the virgin or the bitch, and either way, men are going to objectify you.
Yeah. Next, Kat is at home and she gets a letter from Sarah Lawrence.
Yeah.
And her dad is very specifically like, she got accepted. Leaving. She was like, oh my God, I got accepted. And he's like, accepted where? And she's like, Sarah Lawrence. And he's like, you're not going. And she's like, obviously very upset because that's where she wants to go. She really wants to go to an East Coast school. And her dad is just like, why would you want to go that far away? Like, you can't go. And then they start talking about dating in this time because Bianca asks if she can go on a date. And he says, like, you can't date until you're 40. You know the rules. And then
they decide to put a new rule in place because he knows how Kat is.
Yeah.
He says, all right, here's the new rule, thinking that this is how Kat's going to be. You can't date until Kat dates.
Yes.
And Bianca's like, but she's a mutant. Yeah. Like, I think that's so funny.
Yes, yeah. She's like, she's never going to date. Yeah. And he's like, haha, I've won. And he's a delivery
single father
doctor. Like, he delivers babies. So he's super paranoid about pregnancy and, like, the mom left, so it's just him. So you do kind of like pity him and see his perspective of just like wanting to protect them and wanting them to not get into any trouble, but it's like
while also taking his own shit out on them.
Yeah, it's also just like
so layered.
So it's too much.
Yeah,
it's too much. But you know, he's like, I had like a girl in my office today was 15 years old delivering twins. Like, do you want that to be you? And he goes, you know what she said to me? And they're like, what? And he's like, she said, I wish I would have listened to my father. And they're like, she did not say that.
I wish that's something like parents would do.
So
I wish I would have listened to my father.
Yeah.
So Bianca tells this to Cameron because Cameron finally decides, this is it. I'm going to ask Bianca out. and see where it goes.
And Bianca at this point is not interested in Cameron.
No, she's
just kind of liking the attention.
Yeah, very much. And she says, well, I can't go out. My dad won't let me go out, but there's a new rule. You know, if Kat goes out with somebody, I can go out with somebody. So this is where Cameron decides to hatch a plan that is completely regardless of Kat's feelings whatsoever.
Yeah.
And they decide they're going to try and get someone to go out with Kat in it, because then he'll be able to go out with Bianca.
Yeah. And Michael is like, no one's going to go out with Kat. She's a shrew.
Yeah.
And he's like, there's got to be somebody who wants to do, like, extreme dating. So they're, like, kind of going to all the sort of, like, outsiders and asking, and everyone's like, hell no. And then they see Heath.
Well, they say, like, you know what'll get someone to date her if we have someone to fund it.
Right. But I think they try with Heath. Oh, do they decide
on Heath first?
And then he, like, scares... they're too scared of him.
Oh, yeah. He drills through their friendship.
Yeah, so he basically... they see... His name's Patrick, and they see him, and they're like, he is probably the only person who would do it, because there's all these rumors about him that he has been to prison, and that he, like...
He's got this wild reputation that he's eaten a duck hole.
Slept with a Spice Girl. Just, like, all these crazy things.
Had a porn career.
Yeah. So they're kind of all scared of him. And he's got, like, dark hair. And
he smokes cigarettes in class.
Yeah, he's, like, a bad boy. And so they try to talk to him. But, yeah, like we were saying, they're too scared.
Yeah.
So, like, we have to figure out... we have to get incentive. Yeah, so they decide to go to Joey and basically get him... to get Patrick to ask Kat out.
Yeah.
So, and Joey has money and he has status. So they're like, this will be a good, like, opportunity.
Yeah.
So basically Joey agrees to it. And later goes and asks Patrick if he would ask out Kat, and Kat's, like, playing soccer at the time, and she's, like, beating girls up in the background, like, pushing them, and, like, they're falling over and stuff.
And Patrick's like, you want me to ask her out?
Yeah. And so they negotiate a $75 or $50 or something for the date. And so he takes the challenge, and he, like, later, they're at, I don't know exactly where they are, but they're in a parking lot. And he kind of comes up to the car, and he's talking to her. And, like, Patrick's talking to Kat and trying to kind of, like, hit on her.
Yeah. Because he thinks it's going to be easy.
Yeah. And
he walks up thinking, like, I'm mysterious, I'm interesting, she's going to be interested in me.
Yeah, and she's like, I'm not having this.
No, thank you, ma'am.
And then Joey comes up behind... like, parks behind Kat.
Oh, yeah.
And just gets out of his, like, bougie car. Just such an asshole.
Oh, my God.
And she just rams into it. She's like...
I love it.
Are you going to move? Okay, fine. And she just rams into him.
Yep.
I love it because you can tell that Patrick is, like...
Like, he's giggling.
She's bad. Like, she's a baddie. You know, like, she's badass.
Yeah, she is a little baddie. So then they get home, and, you know, the dad's upset that she... raised his car insurance, and Bianca's upset because she's such a weirdo to her, because Bianca just wants to be popular. And so then I think it's
I love when she says, I'm sorry you're gonna miss out on the witty repartee of Joey eat me Donner. That's, like, one of my favorite moments.
Fuck Joey.
Yeah, fuck Joey. That's one of my favorite moments in the movie.
Joey eat me Donner. So then they realize they have to have, like, well, not they, Cameron realizes they have to have, like, a reason for people to get out, like a party. So they realize this, like, nerdy kid is having a study group, and they basically turn it into a big high school party. So
sexy bomb.
Oh yeah, I was like, "What you doing?"
And then all the
flyers.
It's
It's very much a moment.
Yeah.
So they have to realize they have to up their game with Kat, so this way Bianca can go to the party. And, like, how does he get her to go out with him? Like, how does it happen?
He goes to the because basically Cameron, in the meantime, Cameron's, like, learning more about Kat and telling Patrick so that Patrick can kind of manipulate her into liking him. So he goes to this like nightclub that she's at that's clearly like a kind of feministy like girls' night, and she's dancing and having a time, and he shows up and he's like talking to her about the music and stuff, and she's like, you know this music? Like, what the hell?
I said when I watched that scene, I was like, that's what it looks like for me at like a Boy Genius concert. It's just like a bunch of like lesbians just dancing around to other lesbians singing.
Love that. But yeah, so he tells her, like, he's kind of dancing with her, and they're flirting, and they're kind of going back and forth in that way that's, like, biting, you know? And at some point, like, he says, I just want you to know you look really sexy tonight. And, like, the music goes down, so it's, like, he says it, and, like, everyone hears.
And it's, like, endearing to her.
It's endearing to her. It's, like, funny. And so then he says, go to Boy Lowenstein's party with me, and she's, like, why do you want to do, like, just kind of not giving him an answer. And he's like, is that it? Is that a no? And she's like, no. He's like, is that a yes? And she doesn't say anything. And he's like, I'll pick you up at 9:30. So then the night rolls around, and I can't remember why she decides to go. Because she was going to go, and then he shows up at the door, remember? And she's like, what are you doing here?
I guess because, like, Bianca lays into her, like, just because you have to be a social outcast doesn't mean I have to be. Stuff like that. Yeah, she's just like, I want to experience high school, essentially. Yeah. So then Kat's like, fine, because, like, she just has everyone throwing these expectations at her, and she doesn't ever get to actually do what she wants to do. She's like, you want to experience high school? Fine, we'll go experience high school. Let's do. It's kind of like spiteful.
So she like opens the door, and Patrick's standing there, and she's like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "It said 9:30, right?" Yeah. And so they technically go to the party together. And this is when you really start to see like Patrick's sweet side, I feel, because up until that point, you're kind of only seeing just like
him trying to ask her out.
Yeah, and so at the party. Like, she starts to drink because she's just being like, oh, like, Kat's like, this is what I'm here for. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. Yep. He's kind of chasing her around, trying to make sure she's not getting into any trouble.
And at the same time, we see Bianca hanging out with Joey, and she's realizing, like, ew.
But first she sees Cameron, and Cameron is like, hey, like, how are you? Like, whatever. And she's like, she basically ignores him.
Fine.
She puts her friend.
Yeah, she's there with Chastity, Gabrielle Union, who, by the way, does not age.
Doesn't age, no.
She's, like, incredibly gorgeous. I forgot she was in this movie until we watched it, and I was like, oh, it's her.
Doesn't age.
She's so beautiful.
Yeah, she's so beautiful.
But, so she tries to, like, put Chastity in front of her for Cameron.
Like, it's really, like...
It's a shitty feeling.
He knows that, and it's, like, definitely hurtful. Yeah. And in his mind, he's like, Bianca, I've been doing all this work for you so that you could come to this party, and you're just going to go be with Joey. So she goes, and she's with him, and then,
And she realizes, like, oh, he sucks.
Yeah, he's stupid.
Because the whole time he's, like, showing her basically his blue steel, like, different model poses.
And he's like, I'm going to do a hemorrhoid ad tomorrow.
It's
like,
so cool. And, like, she's just like... Oh, he's got literally no substance to him. It's all beauty. There's no brains.
So there's this moment where Cameron sees Patrick, and he's like, hey, it's over. Like, I don't need you to help me anymore. Like, you know, this isn't going to happen. She still wants to be with Joey. And this is, like, one of those moments where with Patrick where you, like, see him, like, who he really is. Because he says to him, like, he was like, do you like this girl? And he's like, yeah. And he's like... Then don't give up. And he was like, and don't ever let someone make you feel like you don't deserve something you want. And you're like, oh no, I'm starting to like this guy.
I'm starting to get, because he's also like exasperated because he's been like chasing Kat around, and Kat's obvious. This was right after Kat got up on the table and started dancing because she was so drunk. And she hits her head on the chandelier, and we
he catches her.
Patrick catching her, and he takes her outside, and that's when Cameron comes up and says, it's over. And he's like, I've got so many things to deal with. Like, I'm trying to take care of this girl who I'm getting paid to take on a date, but wait, maybe I actually have feelings for her. I don't know. Yeah. And he's just being so sweet to Kat. They have, like, their first, like, real conversation.
Yeah, totally. And they're like on the swings. He's like trying to keep her awake. And it's such an iconic moment because they're just like sitting there on the swings together. And
like they make the most intense eye contact through this entire movie.
Yeah, they do.
It's very eye contact heavy. And I'm like,
Love it.
I love it.
Yeah, and like, you know, they're kind of having this conversation about like just why she did that at the party and all that stuff, and then he's driving her home.
She pukes on his shoes first.
Oh yeah, she pukes on his shoes. And he's just being so sweet about it. And then he's driving her home, and
she's obviously getting very vulnerable.
Yeah, and she's still drunk too. And she's talking about how her dad wants her to be like Bianca, and like everyone wants her to be like Bianca. And Patrick says to her, like, you know, no offense to her, I know she's your sister, and like people seem to really like her, but she's without. With his Australian accent, which I'm not going to attempt.
She's without.
Yeah, it's so cute. She's
and
without,
so
and I
when,
just love that she's without, like,
because it's not an insult.
It's so like, it's so simple, but it says so much too.
Yeah,
she's without. You know, that's it.
And like you can tell, like that's all she's ever wanted to hear is like someone was interested in her and not Bianca.
Yes, and like,
so, like
saw her.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we all want, just to be seen, you know? And so she leans in to kiss him, and he does reject her, but it's because she's
does
strong.
The gentlemanly thing.
Yeah, he does the right thing.
Like, rare for a 90s movie.
Right. But she does not have it in her to take that lightly, and she feels really embarrassed. And like,
she's really proud.
The way she expresses embarrassment is 100% anger. We love, because like mood. And so she's just pissed at him after that because she feels like embarrassed and hurt.
Yeah, like I took this leap because you've been asking me out so much, and look what happened.
Yeah.
So then we're back at school, and Patrick is realizing that, like, you know, she still really doesn't like me, and you know what we forgot? Cameron and Bianca. He drives her home.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Bianca decides to blow off Joey because he was going to drive her home, and she knew, like, if he drove her home, like, what was going to happen. So she blows him off, and she's like, Cameron, can I have a ride home? And, like, Cameron basically tells her, like, it doesn't feel good to be treated the way you treated me.
Yeah, he says, just because you're beautiful doesn't mean you get to treat people badly.
Yeah.
Which I love that.
And I think she loved that. And, like, she kissed him.
They had a cute little make out in the car.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of a big moment for them.
Yeah, so at school, Patrick is like, Cameron and Patrick are talking about it, and he's like, you have to get Kat to go to prom with you because I want to take Bianca to prom. And Patrick's like, I thought you hated Bianca now. I thought it was done. And he was like, no, things changed. And we're realizing that Kat still hates Patrick for rejecting her for the kiss. So he decides he has to make a big move.
Oh, no.
He has to do something grand.
Oh, no. Even this microphone in my hand is triggering.
He has to make a grand gesture, and it's one of the best scenes in the movie.
You know, it's just one of those things where, again, you know that something like this will never happen to you. You know that this is almost impossible and, like, couldn't happen anyway. But the thought of it, thought of someone trying to, like, win you over after hurting you and, like, doing it on such grand scale, it's just in his way, you know, and in a way that he knows she'll get and think is funny.
Yeah.
So he decides, he pays the marching band, and he, during soccer practice, gets a microphone, and he starts...
Much like the ones we have in our hands right now.
Yeah, and you hear... It's just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you. And then he sings
He sings the whole song.
And dances really goofy and, like, is on the bleachers.
So cute. It's such a good scene.
And he's just smiling with his fucking perfect smile and just being so cute. And then the marching band starts playing.
I love a grand gesture.
And, you're Leo Venus.
I love a grand gesture.
And... then the cop, like not cops, but
like
the
high school security
comes, and he's just like letting them chase him, and he like spanks one of them, and everybody's laughing, and it's
like she's laughing. You can tell this is like
it worked.
Eased her a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, and so he gets detention, and she decides to break him out of detention.
By flashing
her teacher. Yeah, but it works.
It works.
And they go paddle boating, which is cute. And this is the first time that they're like on a date, and it's like they're getting to know each other. They're talking.
Getting to know you. Yeah. Getting to know. Sorry, I'm feeling singy today.
But they start getting to know each other, and then he like points to this. He's like, do you want to go do this? And it's like this, I don't even know what it is, balloon.
It said on the outside paintball, but when they're in there, it's not paintball.
It's like this, it looks so fun. I just want to say Miss Congeniality also has a cool paint moment, and I'm like, where's my paint moment?
I want a paint moment.
So they have on these,
whether if it's with my girls or my love interest.
Who the heck ever.
Yeah.
So they put on these like white like jumpsuits basically, and they throw paint balloons at each other, like kind of like water balloons, but they're filled with paint. Ugh. And it's so cute. They're having so much fun.
Giggling. He's got his hair in a little ponytail.
Oh, the ponytail with like the pieces falling. And then, and the song is playing. It's like, and you're perfect, and you're beautiful, and you want you to know somebody loves you, or like whatever the lyrics are.
Because there's somebody who's in love with you.
Yeah,
and
somebody actually cares about you.
Are never going to experience love.
Nothing like this will ever happen to you idiots watching this movie. And so, like, the song's playing, and it's, like, this fucking perfect moment. And then he, like, throws her down onto, like, this hay bale. I don't know why there's hay there. And
my allergies could never.
And he, like, throws his, like, goggles, which is, you gotta see it. It's a good moment.
You gotta see it.
And then he just, like, kisses her, and he just, like... It's passionate, and it's a full body kiss.
He does that thing with like the hand on the side of the face, like caressing.
Hair. Oh my god, he knows what he's doing.
I would have swooned.
I would have died. Yeah. I would have been like, after I'm done filming this movie, I would like to be
in love with a person.
Yeah, I need to go
with a human person.
But yeah, so clearly things are kind of starting to become more real for them and for Kat. And so then on their way home. Or, like, once they get back to her house, he's telling her, like...
she says, tell me one thing that's true about you.
Ooh.
That nobody else knows. Or one thing that's true that nobody else knows. And he says, you're sweet. You're beautiful. Like, he compliments her.
Like, kisses her neck.
Because nobody else knows that. Because they just have this preconceived notion of her.
But then she asks him... Or he asks her to prom. He's like... Well, he says, go to prom with me. And she's like...
Is that a question or a request?
Or
a demand?
Or a demand. And he's like, come on, go to prom with me. No one will expect you to go to prom. And
she's like, why are you pushing this so hard?
She knows.
Here's the thing. There's a difference between intuition and fear. And sometimes it is fear. But baby girl had some intuition.
She knew. She was sus. She felt it.
Yeah.
And he was like... He was like, why would you think I would do something like that? Yeah, because
she was like, what's in it for you?
Her. Yeah, she says, what's in it for you? And he's like, just the opportunity to spend time with you.
Yeah, now that we know gaslighting as a term.
Yeah.
Because, like, she knew there was something going on, but he was like, why would you assume that about me? Like, basically turning it around. And he says, you need therapy.
He does say you need therapy.
Yeah.
Listen, times have changed. But yeah, that was a rough moment for him. That was my number one. Because honestly, at that point, he already knew he had feelings for her. So, like, why?
And I think he genuinely just wanted to go to prom with her as well.
I think that too. And maybe that's part of why he, like, needed
he turned it to be down the money.
The guise of, like, yeah.
He turned down the money from Joey because Joey wanted him to take Kat so he could take Bianca. And he did ask Bianca, and Bianca kind of, like, said, like, no/yes. Wasn't really clear. But, like, he turned down the money because he's like, I'm out. I don't want to do this anymore. But he realized, like, I do just want to go to prom with you.
But he did take the money.
For prom?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he turned it down.
That's why he buys the good... Because he offers him... He turns it down at first.
Yeah.
And then he offers him, like, more money. Like, a lot of money. Like, $400 or something. And then he's like...
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Poor kid problems.
Yeah, so he does it, even though, you know. Mm-hmm. So, anyways.
She storms off.
She's sus.
Yeah. After he says you need therapy, she's like, yeah, fuck this, and goes into her house.
Yeah. But then, it's almost prom, and, like, Bianca and her are having, like, Bianca's in her room, and...
They're having kind of a moment.
Kat goes into her room, and they're talking or whatever, and she's like, what do you like about Joey anyways? And, like, they're kind of talking about that. And then Kat admits to her that she actually slept with Joey in 9th grade. And she was, like, really popular in 9th grade. And, like, she didn't actually want to have sex with him, and it was
she had sex because everyone else was having sex.
And that was, like, the moment for her where she was like, I don't want to be this type of person. Like, I want to do things because I want to do them and not because everyone else is doing them. And you can tell that Bianca's like, why wouldn't you have told me that? She's like, because I wanted you to, like, form your own opinions, which I don't totally agree with.
No, and I also agree with what Bianca says. She's like, how can I form my own opinions if you and Dad are protecting me from the world to make my own mistakes, essentially?
Exactly.
Yeah. And I agree with Bianca, because, like, you can see even just through this movie how much growth she has as a 15-year-old.
And, like, they don't give her enough credit either, where it's like, they just think she's like
vapid.
Dumb and vapid, but it's like, she knew right away that Joey was an idiot. And to have and if she had already known that he did what he did to her, because also he broke up with Kat after she said she didn't want to have sex again.
Yeah.
If she knew that he had done that, like,
she would have never given him a chance
for him.
Yeah.
So it was like this moment of seeing her in a different light as, like, an audience too.
Yeah.
Because at first you're like, she's not great.
Yeah.
But I think that moment kind of makes Kat realize that Bianca should be allowed to go to prom.
Yeah.
And make her own mistakes and have her own experiences. So Kat decides to go to prom.
And she's, like, running out the door and goes, all right, bye, Dad, I'm going to prom. And he goes, haha, very funny. And then she leaves.
Oh, but she does go with Patrick, but I can't remember when.
They meet there.
But I know, but, like, when did she, like...
She never told him that she was going.
Oh.
I think he just, like, hoped she was going.
Okay. Because they never talked about it.
Yeah.
So, prom.
Prom.
Which always is, like, the pinnacle scene of every teen film.
Every teen film. They go to prom, and Bianca is able to go with Cameron and, like, is having a really nice time, and Kat gets there and meets up with Patrick. And she's like, I'm sorry.
Fun.
She said, I'm sorry that I...
doubted your intentions.
I'm sorry I doubted your intentions. And he says, you're forgiven.
Which is so messed up.
So fucked.
And then he gets, like, letters to Cleo. I mean, I think it's supposed to be a different band, but it's like...
It's basically letters to Cleo.
To, like, stop in and perform.
Because it's, like, one of Kat's favorite bands.
And then, in that moment, Joey comes over to...
Patrick.
And he's like, basically, like, it didn't work.
Like, why is Bianca here with Cameron?
Like, I paid you to take her out so that
I could get with Bianca.
Yeah.
And Kat's face.
It's so sad.
She's just like, are you?
She was like, I knew it.
Yep. It's so sad. She knew it.
Yeah. And you can tell that I think in Patrick's, like, idealized version of reality, it would have just been like, that happened
and it, like, petered out. Nobody talked about it again.
And he got to be with her because he really liked her. Like, he was gonna keep dating her, I think.
Yeah. 100%.
Even after, but it was just like, how can you come back? I mean,
the truth will reveal itself in time.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we forgot to talk about your favorite subplot.
Oh, there's a little subplot. I don't know why. I guess I'm not the main character, because every time I watch one of these movies, I'm obsessed with, like, the side characters' journeys. So Michael, Cameron's best friend, decides he has a crush on Kat's best friend, whose name I can't... Katarina or something. It's not Katarina. That's Kat's name.
Yeah, I was like...
Mandela. Which is an interesting name. But Mandela tells Michael, like, I'm obsessed with William Shakespeare. We're involved. Like,
we're involved.
Yeah, tells them they're involved. And, like, he... it's so cute. He anonymously leaves, like, an invitation to prom in her locker with a dress that she would like, because it's, like, a Renaissance dress. And, like, it's just so sweet. And so she goes to prom, and she sees Kat and Patrick, and she's like, is he here? And Kat's like, who? And she goes... William, because she thinks William Shakespeare is taking her to prom, and Kat's like, please don't tell me you've just, like, completely disintegrated.
Yeah.
And then we see Michael up on stage in his little Renaissance outfit, like, waving at her, and it's just so, it, like, so melts cute. My heart. I don't know why. Subplots, because it's like, not as emotionally in-depth as the main
True,
plot.
there's no drama.
I can just, like, be happy for them.
Yeah, that's so true.
But yeah, I'm upset. I don't know why. I love it so much.
It's so good.
It's so cute. Because it's also another grand gesture. Like, he bought the dress for her.
I know.
Like, knew specifically what she liked. So, like, he, like, made it really romantic. Like, it's, like, a secret person who's going to meet you at prom.
So cute.
Oh, so cute.
I love
anyway.
So, yeah. While that was happening, kind of while all this other shit was unfolding. But Kat basically storms out of the prom, like, super heartbroken and, like, so hurt. And then Joey goes over to Cameron. Or no. Cameron goes over to Joey, and he's like, what's your problem, man?
Yeah.
Like, whatever. And then punches
Joey says, whatever, you can take the bitch. And what does Cameron's like, dude, what's your problem? And that's when Joey turns around and punches Cameron
in the face, and Cameron falls.
And then Bianca.
Well, and then you see a hand punching Joey. And it's fucking Bianca. And she says, that's for
making Cameron. My date bleed.
Yeah. This is for me, my sister. And then she kicks him in the groin, and that's for me. And he falls.
1, 2, 3, babe.
And he's like, Bianca, I had a nose spray out to film tomorrow. Like, fuck Joey.
Yeah, fuck Joey.
Fuck Joey.
It feels so good to say it.
Fuck him. Fuck Joey. We hate Joey. Okay, so, yes. That's a great ending for Joey.
Yeah.
Because fuck Joey.
Because that storyline kind of ends there. Like, Bianca and Cameron are together now, and Joey's just off being an idiot.
And Bianca and Cameron, yeah, they have kind of a nice moment. So then, the next day in school, they had been assigned.
Well, the next day was at her house. She's drawing, and her dad tells her she can go to Sarah Lawrence.
Oh, yeah.
Which
You're
is
right.
really
Which is a really touching moment, because he's like, you know.
I'm ready to let go.
Oh, and she says, like, Bianca punched out someone. Are you upset because she's like me now? And he's like, no, I'm impressed.
I'm impressed, yeah.
And he was like, you know, Bianca lets me play, like
lets me play in the game every once in a while, but with you, I'm just on the bench. I've been
sitting on the sidelines for years.
Yeah.
And so it was this moment for both of them, and I think for her to feel like, oh, he does, like, love me as much as my sister. It's just, like, because I'm just different. Like, we have a different relationship.
And, like, with the mom abandoning them, like, he doesn't want to lose any more of the people he cares about in his life.
Which is sweet.
And, like, I understand, because, like, going off to college, she's going to have her own life. She's not going to be able to keep in touch as much. You won't see her every day. But at the same time, you got to let the baby birds leave the nest.
Let them leave the nest. Yeah,
Let them leave the nest.
So, so then after that, like, the next day is school, and they had been assigned a Shakespeare. They had to write, basically, an interpretation of, like, a sonnet that they had heard. And do you want to pull it up and read it?
Oh, yeah.
So,
oh my God.
Our girl Kat has the most iconic moment in the film, and
they say,
he's like, is anyone brave enough to read their poem? And she says, I'll do it. And Patrick's in class also, just sitting there, like, moping.
I have it. Do you want to do it? Should I do it? You can do the honors.
I'll do the honors. Okay. So she gets
this
up
is
there.
Your movie, babe.
She's emotional. She's feeling it. And she says, I hate the way you talk to me and the way you cut your hair. I hate the way you drive my car. I hate it when you stare. I hate your big dumb combat boots and the way you read my mind. I hate you so much it makes me sick. It even makes me rhyme. I hate the way you're always right. I hate it when you lie. I hate it when you make me laugh. Even worse when you make me cry.
I'm not even reading this.
I hate it when you're not around and the fact that you didn't call. But mostly, I hate the way I don't hate you. Not even close. Not even a little bit. Not even at all. Oh! And then she just runs out.
That's like a Sylvia Plath interpretation of Shakespeare.
Right? And you can tell that Patrick feels so bad, but
his face the entire time, like, he's, like, not looking at her. Agony.
Which he deserves to be an agony,
absolutely.
Bitch. So then, but she, like, runs to her car to leave, and she gets there, and there is a Fender Strat in the front seat, which Patrick had seen her looking at, like, earlier previously. In the movie. And she's like, what the hell? And then he, like, shows up, and she's like, what is this? This is too much. This is crazy. And he's like, I had some extra cash. And so know that he used the money to buy her the guitar, and he's apologizes for what he did, and he says, like, the problem was, like, I didn't plan on falling for you. You know, but it happened, basically.
Yeah.
And then they kiss, and then she's like, don't think you can buy me something every time you mess up.
And he's like, well, you know, there's going to be drums, a bass, and maybe even a tambourine. And then they make out again, and she starts going at him, and he kisses her. It's just so
It's so cute. And it pans out, and... we
have band practice on the roof of the high school.
We love. So, yeah.
And I want you to want me. Oh, yeah, they're singing that one.
Yeah.
I need you to meet me.
But yeah, so that's the movie.
That's the movie.
That's the schmovie.
That's the schmovie. It's so cute, and I just love it so much.
Yeah, it's so cute. We love it. So Danielle.
Oh, God, I never think about this in advance.
How did this movie fuck you up?
How did it what?
Fuck you up.
How did it what?
Fuck you up.
Give me un moment. I guess this movie fucked me up because it made me come to terms with the fact that I'm not the main character. No, I'm kidding. No, I think it fucks me up because there are so many grand gestures within the movie. And, like, as much as I hate having attention, that's why I have a podcast. I love a grand gesture, like, when it's, like, specifically tailored to me. Like, because it's, like, someone put all this time and effort into thinking about this thing for you.
You're
they
such
were
a
thinking
Leo
about
Venus.
You. I can't help it. It just feels really nice. And, like, even just the whole plot line itself was obviously, like, a grand gesture from Cameron. Because, like, he was so, like, interested in this person and wanting to get to know her. He was willing to go through all these hoops to, like, get to her. And, like, obviously the I love you baby scene, and, like, him buying her a guitar, her writing him a poem and reading it in front of the class. It's like, it just ticks my boxes, and I'm just like,
gorgeous.
Somebody make a grand gesture for me.
If you're out there, make a grand gesture for Danielle, or
I mean, you don't have to. It's also, I consider grand gestures to be little things throughout the day as well. Like, you literally bought me a Palm Springs keychain, and I, like, cried.
Oh, yeah.
So, I was
that was all EJ.
Yeah, you and
EJ was like, Danielle's gonna love this bear.
You and my best friend EJ, if you're listening, they bought me a Palm Springs keychain that was just, like, a little bear with movable arms and legs, and I was like, you guys got this for me? And it was probably, like, $2, but, like, just something little. It doesn't have to be a gift or anything, but just something little. I like knowing people are thinking about me.
For those of you listening, yeah.
I don't want to sound too conceited, but...
So...
Catherine?
Yeah?
How did this movie fuck you up?
I mean, just the whole thing from start to finish. And honestly, just the Heath Ledger of it all.
The Heath Ledger of
I
it
just
all.
love him, love his character, love his, just everything about... I just love it. I think also... the fact that I didn't get to have, like, a high school love, it fucks me up because, like, I wanted that so bad. I've always been such a romantic, and I felt like I was kind of gypped out of that. So sometimes I get a little bitter when I'm watching movies with, like, hot, skinny people dating, and I'm like, what's that like? Yeah. You know? But
I had a high school romance, and he was shit, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
but it's a double-edged sword. Yeah. I get it. Yeah.
But... yeah, I think that's what fucks me up. Heath Ledger, and then just, like, the high school, like, cuteness and
of it all.
The romance.
And they're just so cute. And Julia Stiles is so cute and tiny and young in this movie. Like,
you and your tiny.
I know, everyone's tiny to me. I don't know why.
So did they? Didn't they?
Didn't they?
Of course they did.
Of course they did.
It was 1999. It was a box office success. They're gonna end up together. We weren't quite
into, like, the indies yet, where they wanted to try something new. Yeah. It was still like, we know the formula. Let's get it out there.
Let's do it. But also, and we didn't say this, somehow we left this out. It's
Shakespeare.
It's Shakespeare. It's the Taming
of
the Shrew.
Realized,
how did we, like, not talk about that? Yeah, it is a remake, or, like, I guess an interpretation of the Taming of the Shrew.
Which the 90s loved to do.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it, babes.
But yeah, so that's the podcast.
That's 10 things I hate about you, but there are more than 10 things I love about you, Catherine.
Write me a poem. Now. Freestyle it.
She's...
Why am I making you rap it? You have to rap the poem. Okay.
She's beautiful, and I love her.
Did you stone those tights? Linda Evangelista. But yeah.
We appreciate you guys so much. It's been so fun to interact with everybody who's been listening. Like, honestly, I was like, if we get 3 listeners, great.
Yeah.
And now we have 4.
Yeah, honestly, just knowing that, like, my mom tuned in and, like, whatever. It's just cute. It's just fun. And
we'll keep you updated on when we get on Apple Podcasts, whenever that happens.
And again, Nardees, thank you so much for this
Thank you, Nardees. Burr, burr, burr.
We love...
Be sure to follow us on Instagram, Will They Won't They Pod. We post a lot on there because it's the easiest platform to use because we're almost 30.
We've been using Instagram for 10 years now, so we know how to do it.
Like, follow, subscribe, leave a comment on whatever podcasting app you
Download
use.
it. That
helps.
helps.
Download really helps.
Once we get on Apple, okay, there's a lot going on outside.
There's, like, construction. We have to leave.
Yeah, we have to go. No. But yeah, so anyways, thank you so much.
Yeah. We love you.
We love you.
Bye.
I want you to want me.